Namaste, Jai Bharat. Communist bourgeoisie is a term that I would like to introduce now. In fact, this is not very new. This had been precipitating in the society for a long time. People have understood it, but no one has called this name. Communist bourgeoisie. Now, to get the spirit of the concept of communist bourgeoisie, one should understand what Marx thinks of society. He divides society into two classes plus one, but practically two classes. That is, he says the rich people who own the capital, they are the bourgeois class. And then the working class, whom he lovingly terms as the proletariats. Of course, eventually Marx is aspiring for a proletarian regime, and he goes to the extent of making it a dictatorship of proletariats. Here, of course, the dictatorship of proletariats. Marx is very bole in the sense he believes that man can be trusted with his goodness, where he has made some mistakes in understanding human nature, which is very important actually. Anyway, he says there are two classes in the society: the owning class, whom he terms lovingly as bourgeoisie, and the working class, whom he very lovingly terms as the proletarians. But then what happens in practical level? We have a lot of communists. Of course, now we have very less communists. There were a time there were plenty of communists in the world. There are some nations who went for communism, and the nations have suffered under in the long run. The anachronistic, communistic, fantastic thinking had failed human nature. Communism has failed human nature. So then what happened is that in the communist societies, man remains man from day one till throughout. Man with all his greatness, all his advantages, and also with all his disadvantages. Now you see, bourgeoisie is the one who captures capital in his hands, and he exploits. These are the qualities and attributes of bourgeoisie as Marx would envisage. He exploits. He alienates the working class from their legitimately deserving labor, profit, which he calls as surplus value, etc. So the bourgeoisie is the absolutely merciless character who would only give just barely sufficient things with which the proletariat can barely survive. No luxuries, no comforts, because the moment the proletariat is comfortable, he would probably think against the bourgeoisie, which the bourgeoisie doesn't want. So the bourgeoisie maintains the poverty of proletarians. Look at what are the kinds of books Marx wrote. Anyway, it's wonderful books he wrote. What a fantastic man with what a wonderful dreams. Fantasy, wonderful fantasy, beautiful speculation fantasy, wonderful. Great imagination he has, and he was also a good poet in whatever circumstances. So, now what happened in communist societies? Think about the areas. I'm talking about Bharat. This is the best example. Think about Bharat. The communist regimes, there are some areas, some pockets in Bharat that were communists were ruling, elected communist government. Then of course they played into democracy, they capitalized democracy, they made political parties, and so the seeds of revolution and rebellion into the minds of people. They were in Kerala and Bengal, West Bengal mostly. The Bengali communism collapsed because they had a continuous rule. And what happened to the communists in Bharat is that they were against alienation of the workers through the surplus value story. But they themselves became alienated from their own tradition, their own Sanskriti. That's the point. Within the communist frame, there is no room for a Sanskriti. That's the problem, because they were desperately materialistically inclined. Materialists, not simply inclined. They were desperately materialists, and there's no room for a Sanskriti in their frame of things. And their frame of things are not Bharatiya. Their frames of things are essentially European, especially in the German context with the Jewish, that Marxian kind of Jewish orientation. So it has no place in the Sanskriti oriented society of Bharat, which is essentially value oriented, with a lot of aspects which are instantly unintelligible to people, but shall become intelligent in slow process through time. So, with all these things, they lose their Sanskriti, and once you lose their Sanskriti, you are something like a kite that has lost a thread. You don't know where you fly, but then you fly. You think you are going into the right place, but there's nothing controlling you. Sanskriti is that which bears on you and regulates you into human existence. That's meaningful human existence. So a lost kite goes anywhere. That's precisely what happens in a communistic frame. So they just go without real desideratum and without real objectives, and they are only trained in materialistic comforts. And of course, it doesn't instantly become aware to people that that's not everything. Comfort zone or comfort goes much beyond the concept of materialistic comfort. So then subsequently it becomes political democracy, that is democratic politics, party politics, where the dictatorship of proletariat becomes the dictatorship of the party leaders. Of course, in regular communist regime also, when it used to exist, it used to be regular political leadership's dictatorship. In China, you see it evidently. Venezuela, yes. You look at any nation, yes. Any communist countries which used to exist, now there are no more communist countries in the serious sense of term, very few. You can see it's a dictatorship of the party leaders. They become the authority. Okay, that's their problem, and these people eventually act like typical bourgeoisies, and they assume bourgeois characters. They function like bourgeoisie, whom of course I would like to call as the communist bourgeoisie. Now look at the in our states, Bharat, where they are elected into power. Look at West Bengal, look at Kerala. There are party leaders. They are authorities. They do whatever they want, and they are much worse than the party leaders in regular communist so-called archetype societies which used to exist elsewhere outside Bharat. Here, they are in party politics, and they come to power and go for short time. So Bengal, of course, has a continuous this thing. Kerala, of course, is at breaks, but the party continued to be existing, always coming and going and coming and going. These people have made the Communist Party as a caucus of pressure group, caucus of welfare group of choice of their interests. That's those who are in the party gets everything, and lawlessness is promoted because those who are in the party can do anything, and the party will save you. You can do anything, and you can get away with that. All other things are sidelines. They are not very belonging to the Bharatiya concept, Bharatiya Sanskriti, and also Bharatiya Constitution. Given a chance, they would not belong, but then out of helplessness, they are. Now, what happens is these people, they are trained in materialistic dialectics, supposed to be, but they don't understand. Most of them don't understand what is materialistic dialectics, but they say they amass wealth. You look at the communist leaders, Marxist leaders, in the political party leaders, very few are common, but the vast majority who are used to power, they amassed money like anything. They amassed money unscrupulously. Great amount of money they amassed. You look at, I'm not taking the names, the people are in front of you, they are still actively ruling. They're in front of you. They amass such wealth, and none from their family go into revolutionary practices, quote unquote. They send the children abroad, and these days what they do is they set up businesses abroad, especially in Middle East, which is convenient to them. They set up businesses, they amass money, and also use their business, which is mostly shell companies, for channeling the money they get from people who seek favors from the rule. The shell companies they have, with all these things they amass money. What would you call them other than communist bourgeoisie? So the political leadership, and then not only that, they have their own favorite people putting in given placements wherever they want, and the deserving people are never bothered of. They just left. So they put their people in key posts wherever they want. They place them, and these people are given everything, and all kinds of facilities are given by the government to the favored people. The moment this person loses favor, he is just ousted and no questions asked. So it becomes a structure of bourgeois structure. It becomes this structure collects wealth. The only thing they amass is wealth, money, and beyond that they don't care. And as much wealth as possible in whatever forms, whether it is gold smuggling or fake spurious currency deals or property deals. They don't care about the nation, because whosoever is destroying the nation, they don't care. They are only bothered of their own interests and their own wealth. So there are these communist bourgeoisie who amass wealth, and they do worse than the real genuine bourgeoisie. I will call them as genuine bourgeoisie because he is only capitalist. He works towards his interest. And Marx himself talks about the alienation of the alienators. Marx also says that the bourgeoisie is also alienated. The laborer or the worker is alienated, of course, from his labor, but the bourgeoisie is alienated from the friendship or favor or love and affection of the proletariat. So he at least speaks about it. But these bourgeoisie, they are absolutely not alienated because they are not bothered. They are not bothered. They are not even alienated bourgeoisie. So they are the modern monstrously virulent and vigorous bourgeoisie, Frankenstein's kind of bourgeoisie. They are the communist bourgeoisie. It's a new Marxian theory. Anyone who studies Marx, we should try to look into this aspect, that there are these communist bourgeoisie in political Marxism, political democracy in Bharat. Other places also it may be there, but that's not my concern, because I have to go into many details there. But here things are evidently in front of you, so that you will understand it easily. Look at the Marxist regimes, look at their leaders, and look at their financial status, and look at the ways they will conduct their life, how they live, what kind of luxury they live. Many times explicitly they don't show, but otherwise their lives are very comfortable. They have investments abroad, and the children get studied abroad in all luxuries. And most of the people, without the concept of without the bearing of dharma, I repeat, without the bearing of dharma, whatever you acquire, now you go aimless. You think this is only life, and then go, and after a point in life, you just get destroyed from within. खोखला हो जाता अंदर से. They get destroyed from within. This is the communist bourgeoisie situation. Contradictory it appears, ironic it seems, but reality it is. There with us, in our society, the questions of communist bourgeoisie. Please do think about these terms, it will be interesting. There are many things around us which can be interesting. Just think about it, it will be very fine, very interesting. So till we meet with some other thoughts. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.